Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Sunday edition, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 Central, Mountain, whatever. We're going to come back for some more brain cell loss. We are picking up on, what chapter are we picking up on? Chapter 38, verse 41. But before we do that, it wouldn't be a show without an intro. So let's hit it. Alrighty, Mr. Paul said he has to reboot his computer, so he will be here. So we'll see who else will be here. All right, so let's take out the intro. All right, let's load up the stream. I got to tell you guys, man, I like this 27-inch monitor because I can see, I can actually read from the screen, but I got to switch because I can't scroll. All right, we got one. Darcy, good to see you. If you want to come up, I posted the link on there. Let's get the show on the road so we can finish this book before the year end, hopefully before Thanksgiving. Nah, that's a little too soon. Okay, the story of Job is copied from the Bible, very condensed and corrupted. Okay. And remember our servants when he called his Lord. Surely Satan, I just lost my page. Surely Satan has touched me with distress and torment. Strike with your foot.
Hang on 1 second. I got a question right off the bat. Is this the first time that you guys have read about Job?
No.
Okay.
No. I think we read about him probably in this chapter or the previous chapter.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just a different. Oh, wait a minute, Job. You know what? It might be. I think I was confusing him with Jonah. This might be the first time.
Okay, so how are they remembering then?
I don't know.
So that's why I say Muhammad thinks all these people were in the same location.
Yeah.
It has to be. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
And you brought up an even better point. Because it says, and remember our servant Job when he called his Lord. Well, that would be an impossibility for Muhammad to remember anything because Job was over 1,000 years before Muhammad was even born. So how could Muhammad remember? I mean, it makes no sense for Allah to say, and remember. No, I don't remember Job. I never met the guy.
Oh, Paul's here too.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me bring him back in. Let me load up his version. Okay.
I think it's humorous whenever they want to say they want to remember something, but they have no knowledge about what they're talking about. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, that's just ridiculous to say and remember. Now, who's Allah talking to say and remember? Is he talking to Muhammad? Because in order for anyone to remember something, it would have had to have happened during their time.
Well, this is another example of maybe oral tradition. Even you can't remember something you never experienced. You can recall something. You can recall reading something or hearing of something, but you're not doing a remember.
Yeah, because even if it said, and recall our servant Job, that still wouldn't make sense because you would have to have foreknowledge of it, meaning it would have had to come down through oral tradition. You know, your parents told you the story.
You remember the story of Job? I mean,
Right.
and again,
Or
but Job is a
something,
real person, so we
right.
probably wouldn't say, again, it's just,
Or it's got to
remember
be
the
something.
book of Job. Oh,
Right.
wait, there's a prophet, there's a, they would be able to say at least there's a book.
Right. It
Yeah,
would
but
have
the
been
problem
better to
is,
say I mean, and remember our servant Job in his book or something like that. It still wouldn't mean anything because I would have to have read Job to know anything what Job did. So let me just
I'm betting he doesn't know.
just out of curiosity, we're in chapter 38. What verse is this? 41. Let me see what it says.
I know where this passage comes from, though.
Oh yeah, a lot of the stuff we know where it comes from. And remember our servant. No, it's kind of pretty much says the same thing, except the word for word says, "And remember our slave."
Well, there's a reason why
Ayub.
I know who he's talking to,
Hmm.
and that's why he says remember. So hold on just a second. Let me just pull it up, and it's this
Well,
is
yeah,
where
in the Bible, I guarantee
yes,
you, it's going to make sense.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Okay, let me just find that passage. I'm going to
Okay,
grow the screen just a minute, and I'll share it.
so we'll
And some
hold
of
up
these
on that.
things you just got to sit there and laugh because they're trying to copy the word of God, and they're just so bad at it. Okay.
Who did we lose? Oh, we lost Rad.
All right. Where is it? It's and the Lord said unto Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" So that makes more sense.
Right.
So the interesting part is, and remember our servant Job when he called his Lord, surely Satan has touched. It leaves out the entire story.
Right.
So it's already happened.
Right.
So this doesn't make any sense. So he's like dismissing the entire book in one sentence.
Well, I mean,
Actually, he's missing the majority of the story. Surely Satan has touched me with distress and torment. Okay, I could say that's the beginning of the book, but I mean, for Job to say Satan has touched me with distress and torment,
what would that be? We have no clue.
Well, that's the truth. Satan does do that. That's actually, oh my gosh, we might have one of the only true things in the book here. Satan has touched him with distress and torment. Did you read 42?
No, I haven't even finished 41. So let's go back.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay because actually,
Remember is just a bad.
Larry was the one that brought it up, which did make no sense. And
It's
remember
good
our
that it gets brought
servant,
up. Yep.
because he has to be talking to somebody that remembers Job, and nobody.
Well, unless he's
in
talking to
17th century.
Lucifer, he's having difficulties because the
Right.
only other person who is that evolved, maybe an angel, maybe he's
I mean,
talking
could be. I
to
don't know.
Gabriel.
Yeah, we don't know. Okay, so let's go back and remember our servant Job when he called his Lord. Surely Satan has touched me with distress and torment.
Wait! I now know who it is that he's talking to. You ready?
Who's he talking to?
Himself.
Oh, okay.
I remember our. Yeah, he's talking to himself.
Yeah. Huh? Because our would imply is talking to more than one person. But if you got multiple personalities, that would be okay. Now this one's even funnier. 42. Strike with your foot. This is a cold wash place and a drink. What? What the hell? Let me see what the
What does that have to do with anything?
let's see what the word for word translation, how they try to fix that. Strike with your foot this water to bathe, cool and drink. Now in the word for word, they put in parentheses is a spring of water to bathe, cool, and drink. I'm sorry, I do not want to drink water from any place that I took a bath in. That's just disgusting.
Well, isn't all water pure?
Oh, yeah, that is
That's right.
true.
That
That
even
is
if
true.
something's dead in it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's go to 43 because that makes no sense. And we granted to him his family, and like them, with them, a mercy from us and a reminder to those who have understanding.
We granted to him his family. Okay, wait a minute. We have Job going through this torment. This is after his family's been murdered. They weren't. I mean, they died because they were attacked. You can read that. I mean, there's some that were murdered. There was some that buildings fell on. Like, this is just so bad. Now, how bad can you get a story? Listen to the Quran. Every time he tells a story, it's bad.
I mean, that makes no sense. Oh,
It's
okay,
just more
so
miracles, man. It's just more miracles. That's more miracles.
I mean, so far we haven't read anything that makes sense, and it's only a reminder for those who have understanding. Okay, that's got to be like a very small handful. And take a bundle in your hand, so strike with it. Do not break your oath. Take a
Strike
bundle
what?
in your hand
A bundle of what?
and strike with it. Strike what?
So you took like a sack, a bundle. If I take a bundle of clothes in my hand and I hit something with it, what does that mean? I mean,
Okay, so
bundle of
strike with it.
sticks in my hand. I hit something with it.
Yeah,
It
do
doesn't make
not
any sense.
break. Do not break your oath, but we don't know what that oath is. Surely we found him patient. Blessed is the servant. Surely he is repentant. This seems to
Wait a
be
minute.
a repeating theme.
Wait a minute. We have a problem again.
Yeah, why is Job
He has an
repenting?
oath. He hasn't broke it. So why is he repenting?
I don't know. Could be that Allah doesn't know that Job didn't break his oath, that he was.
But he just said he didn't break his oath. So again, that it may
No,
if
it says
Allah's talking to
it
himself
says
in a
do
split
not break
personality
your
manner,
oath.
that makes sense.
Right, it says do not break your oath. Okay. And they found him, 45. And remember our servants, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Okay.
Oh, who's missing?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Ishmael.
Yes.
So isn't Ishmael a servant of Allah?
Not according to the Quran here.
So in 38:45, we notice that I'm telling you, Allah does not like Ishmael. Jacob, who have substantial hands and visions.
Wait a minute. Why do they need more than two hands? Substantial hands and visions. Does that mean substantial strength and visions?
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
That just is. It's weird.
Surely, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think that that could be an idiom for substantial strength. It's just bad.
Yeah, but since when does Allah use idioms?
Oh, I think he does a lot, but people don't recognize it.
All right. 46. Surely we favored them with pure remembering of a home. Wow. Oh, man, that is like
a lot of remembering going on here.
Yeah, of a home.
You got to remember here. I got to go back to the highlighting here.
Okay, how is that favoring anybody? So you're going to make me remember the home? What home? The nursing home that Allah is probably writing this from? And surely they are with us from the best of the chosen. Ooh, and remember, now here we go. Now, see, Ishmael is always set apart from Abraham. And remember Ishmael and Elijah. Now, number 7 would be an error again. Wrong name, he meant Elijah. Okay.
Was he really, again, this is a chronologically impaired Allah because he seems to downplay Ishmael at the same time period as Elijah.
And Za el Kafel, who the hell is that? Number 8, wrong name. Some Muslim scholars say he meant to say Isaiah, others say Ezekiel. So nobody knows. What the hell do I need the Quran for? The scholars don't even know who the hell Allah is talking about. Hey, Sly Five, Marion, good to see you. Now I know I saw Darcy here somewhere. I mean, what? Seriously, why do we need the scholars when the scholars don't even know who? And how did Zul al Kafel? How in the hell would that be Isaiah? How does an I become a Z? All from the chosen. This is a reminder. What is a reminder? And surely the best return will be to the Pharaoh. Eden's gardens, its doors open to them. So Eden has lots of doors. They will recline in it. Recline in what? The doors? Eden's
Well,
garden?
recline is how you would sit at a table.
Okay. But there's no mention of a table. It just says gardens and there's
Well,
doors.
Yeah,
And
it's
they will
when people
recline
sat
in
down,
it,
they were sitting on their duff
right?
and that's
Calling
how they
in
ate.
it with many fruits and drinks. What the hell does that mean? Calling in it.
Doesn't make any sense.
Are you going to be like at a
Calling in
table
what?
and
The
calling
garden?
in it? Hey, maybe they have a microphone and they're like, waitress, I want my fruits and drinks. This is the description of the virgins in the gardens. And with them are who restrained their eyes. Now, Usama put ever virgins of equal age. So that means they're all going to be the same age. Oh my goodness, man. This is what you are promised at the reckoning day. So I'm promised something of equal age that's got who restrained their eyes.
Oh, no, wait. Oh, that's true. I'm just kind of surprised. So they restrain their eyes. They don't want to look at you. Wow.
Yeah, they don't want to look at Allah's.
So they're appearing. They're giving the appearance of being shy. That's the best I can get with that.
Yes, and they're all the same age. Man,
Maybe they're 5.
could be.
Oh my gosh.
So this
Well,
is
no,
what
6, right?
huh?
Well,
6.
Yeah.
I
okay.
mean, 6 would make more sense than 5
Okay.
because that's Muhammad's favorite age.
Yeah, that's true.
But didn't last time we read they were behind a veil and they were like an eggshell?
Could be.
I thought we read that in the last chapter.
Well, then
I
maybe we're
do.
talking about babies because I think Muhammad actually was interested from the time she was a baby, if I remember right.
I do recall something with an eggshell or an egg. Okay, surely this is okay. This is what you are promised at the reckoning day. Okay, surely this is our provision. It will never have an end. So, man, those women are never going to have an end. This and surely to the transgressors an evil return. Hell, they will roast in it. So evil is the bed. Why not so evil is their bed? Okay, but that's okay. This
You know,
okay.
I guess this is maybe their way of saying, you made your bed, now lie in it.
I mean, could be this. Okay, that's just wrong. This. So let them taste hammam and pus.
That's pretty disgusting.
I'm
No,
telling
no,
you.
wait a minute. We just read on I thought the last chapter that they were going to drink from the tree, right?
Yeah,
Something bowling from the tree.
yeah. Well, Allah can't remember, so
And I also wonder, it says evil is the bad. Well, I thought that there was beds in heaven and they were going to be looking at each other.
yeah, the beds are going to be facing each other.
So, but this says evil is the bad. So what better are they
We don't
talking
even
about?
know. Well, okay, wait a minute. They're going to roast in. So they're roasting in hell. And in the beds. We don't know what they did wrong here, do we? And with them are ever virgins who
Yeah,
restrain their
sure.
eyes.
They just don't believe in this crappy book called the Quran.
This surely to the transgressors an evil return. Hell's where they're going to be. I think the whole purpose of that bed is, they made their bed, let them lie in it type thing. So let them taste. So that they're bad guys, so they're going to eat pus. Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh yeah, I mean it's all right.
So if we don't agree with them, we're going to go through all these things.
Right.
I mean, I will say,
But we don't know what
believe
this
that you have a
hammam,
choice to
what this
choose Jesus or
hammam,
not. It's a free gift to go to heaven. I mean, the agreement, you have to agree with God, not anybody else. But wow.
But we don't know what this hammam is. Hammam. But we do know that it's going to involve pus. Now, 58 makes no sense. And other of the same pairs. What the hell does
It
that
doesn't
mean?
follow. Other of the same what? I mean, are we talking about more pus they're going to eat? Are we talking about more beds are going to be evil? Are we
And what
talking
does
about
he
more
mean by
people
pairs?
roasting in hell? What are we talking about?
Pairs of what?
Yeah.
This is a throng plunging with you where, I'm sorry, there will be no welcome for them. Surely they will roast in the fire. They said, yet you, there is no welcome to you. Okay. You gave it to us. So evil is the final place. You gave it to us. Who gave what to who? They said, our lords.
This is back to the common language because there's
Yeah.
nothing here clear. I mean, we don't know. There's so many generalities. You could take this to mean absolutely anything. There's no welcome
Guys,
to you. You gave it to
guys,
us.
it's
Yeah.
guys, it's clear to only those who have the knowledge. It's clear
And
to
they,
only those
like I
who
said,
live.
con man language makes it anybody can choose what.
Right.
So if Fred is correct, then I want to know who has the knowledge.
That's yeah. Well, it's anybody who thinks they have the knowledge. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, you can choose whatever you want to fit in. And that's why people like Kathir can write such long passages on each little thing because he just imagines he knows everything.
Yeah, he could take 6 words and turn it into 2 paragraphs. Now, I don't understand. You gave it to us. Who's us? And what were they given? So evil is the final place. Okay, I really don't understand this. They said, our Lord, whoever gave this to us, increase him with double torment in the fire.
We don't know what they got given.
Is it the hammam in the pus? That would be a punishment for the unbelievers. And why would
if they were given the? I mean, it doesn't. We don't know who was given something.
Now, if they were unbelievers and they didn't believe that Allah was their Lord, why is it now that why are they referring to Allah as their Lord? I mean, they didn't believe in him. What? So now you believe in him because you're in hell? A little too late if that's the case. And they said, why do we not see the men we were counting among the evils? I don't know what that means. We took them as scoff. Okay. Or the eyes deviated from them. I don't know what that means. Surely this is true. The people of the fire disputed. Okay.
So the people who are going to hell were angry with each other. Okay. That's what that means. We do not see the men who are counting among the evils. If you're counting men, I mean, evils, it's just so, again, common man language. We took them as scoff. One of the eyes deviated from them. You can talk in these bland generalities, and everybody can be right with what they say with it. That's scary. That's why I keep calling this common man language.
I'm gonna say double T because it's gonna sound weird if I say the other way. He says reading the Quran makes you wonder if Allah even spoke Arabic. And that's the thing that you keep pointing out.
Yeah.
All right, I'm posting the link if anybody wants to join us and have some fun.
Well, I mean, I'm a retired teacher. I taught for over 20 years. And, I'm looking at this and having taught many students who have English as a second language, I keep saying, whoever wrote this, it was maybe a second or third language for them, and they didn't know the language fully before they started writing, because there's too many things that are indicators of learning a second language.
Right.
And what's cool is Kufar understands that because English is not his first language.
Yeah. And I made these kind of mistakes when I was maybe in the second, third, fourth grade until I got a grasp. I'm not saying that I don't make, every now and then, but I could write a Quran much better than this and I wouldn't have all these mistakes.
I don't think it takes, I mean, really, to write a better book, all you have to do is have details.
Yep, that's true. Okay, 65. Say, I am only a warner. Why is it that Muhammad keeps referring to himself? If this is indeed Muhammad, why is it that he keeps repeating that he's only a warner?
Because he's not a prophet.
I don't even think I've seen where he says, I am a messenger. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems to be the standard narrative
I think
is
there's
that
one
he's
I
only a
am but a
warner.
messenger.
Okay, and there is no God except Allah, the one, the dominator.
Ooh.
I should have posted in the Facebook group that we're in, but I forgot. The Lord of the heavens and the earth. Now we're back to heavens instead of the Lord of the heaven and earth. And what is between them, the dear, the forgiving. Okay. Okay. If you say so. Okay, 67. Say, this is great news. You are turning away from. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
We don't know what it is. What's the great news? Whenever Allah has good news, I get worried because he likes to torture people.
69. It was not for me to have a knowledge of the higher leaders when they dispute. Okay.
This is problematic because higher leaders, when they dispute, we're talking about people who would be running groups of people, I would think, and when they're angry with each other. So if this is Muhammad speaking and saying he's only a plain warner, so he won't even serve as what we would call a peacemaker because that's too much for him.
I like Darcy. She says, I may be blonde, but I ain't brainless.
I don't know. We're reading the Quran. We'll get you there.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this, so you don't have to. Okay, so this is great news you are turning away from. Okay. I don't know what we still have no idea what this great news is. It was not for me to have a knowledge. Okay, we read that. We don't know what that means. See, that it is revealed to me that I am only a plain warner. So the only thing that this person seems to know is that he is only a plain warner. That's it. He has no knowledge of anything except he is a plain warner.
And we don't know that this is Muhammad because Muhammad's name has not been mentioned.
Right. Now, and I think I talked to Larry about this or somebody else. Here's the problem. When Muslims say, well, yeah, we know it's Muhammad because this was given to him. That's great. But an individual who picks up the Quran and doesn't know anything about Islam, when they're reading this, they would have no clue who the book is talking about.
Well, but even if they want to claim it's Muhammad, show us where that proof is that it's Muhammad, because there's a lot of eyes and things in there that there's no evidence that this is a man named Muhammad.
Could you imagine?
In the Quran, we don't know that the word Muhammad is not a title.
Yeah. Now, could you imagine? Could you imagine if the Torah was written like this? I mean, after all, it was revealed to Moses.
We'd sit there and laugh at him.
And Moses didn't mention his name anywhere, but we're supposed to assume it's talking about Moses because it was given to Moses.
So yeah, if you only mention Moses 4 times in the first 5 books, oh my gosh, no, no, you wouldn't know who Moses would not be important if his name was only mentioned 4 times. He'd be an afterthought.
So we went from Job to, I think, Lot, and now we go back to Adam.
You know what? With Job and Lot, that could be historically accurate and chronologically accurate. I mean, now we're going back to Adam, and then we're showing again Allah's ineptitude in the concept of chronological order.
Right. Okay, so this is the story of the creation of Adam and his worship by the angels once again. Notice that the arrangement of the stories is out of order in
See?
each chapter and
For
throughout the
example,
Quran.
of Allah's brain injury, a traumatic brain injury for Allah. He can't get chronological order and consistent. He can't.
Yeah, I had a few discussion with some Muslims today in Larry's room. It was funny. The guy did not understand the concept of reversed speech. He did not understand that if one chapter you say A plus B, and then in another chapter it says B plus A, that you've just reversed my speech. He couldn't quite grasp it. So my guess is that either he was stupid or, okay, forget it. He was stupid. Okay. When your Lord said to the angels, clearly this doesn't sound like Allah speaking. So somebody is talking about, somebody is relaying what Allah did. So it can't
So
be
wait a
Allah.
minute. Up here, we have that is revealed to me that I'm only a plain Warner. So if we allow that is Muhammad, then we come down here and we say Muhammad is speaking. When your Lord says to the angels, surely I am creating a human from mud. So how is Muhammad actually present when this is happening is another question. That would make Muhammad co-equal with Allah, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Now,
Oh,
recall,
wait, are we saying that Allah has a partner? Because that's basically what this passage says.
right.
Allah has somebody who was present at the beginning.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we do know that, hold on, we do know that this would not make sense. I mean, oh man, this is just such
When your
a
Lord
googly
says,
gob.
surely I'm creating a human from mud.
Okay. Okay, surely I am creating a
This
human.
could be Muhammad conveying thoughts of Allah, but it really does lift Muhammad up
if
on
if
a pedestal.
it's Muhammad, then Muhammad is telling us the story about, Allah, when Allah said to the angels, surely I am creating a human from a mud. So when I have formed him and breathed my spirit into him, so fall down to him worshiping.
Wait, ain't that contradictory? Ain't there other things that says that Allah just said be and it was?
Well, yeah, but Allah never, no, actually, it says be and it will be, meaning it's going to be in the future, not in the now, but in the future. Muslims tell you that, when Allah wants something, he just says be and it's there. And then they'll tell you, no, 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 no. When he said be, the creation started, because it took 6 days to create the heavens and the earth. Or was it 8 days? We don't know. But anyway. So all the angels worshiped together, except for the devil. He was proud and he was of the infidels. Okay. Can somebody tell me who were these other infidels?
Apparently, there are other beings.
Right. Or there were other, yeah. Because how can you be part of a group if you're supposed to be the first?
So and infidels in general refers to humans. So there were humans before Allah created the first human. That's the implication here.
You sure the jinns and the angels can't be infidels?
Yeah, I would think that.
But the problem here is, how did he become of the infidels? Because they would have had to have existed. And that's kind of problematic for Allah. So that means Allah had problems before he even created Adam. So he said, "O devil, what hindered you from worshiping what I have created with my hands? Are you proud, or were you from the exalted?" That makes no sense. Now, here's another problem. What did Allah say? His command was for the angels, because he was talking to the angels, right? Here, it's the devil. The devil is not an angel. So the devil was the only one that was correct. And this is what Muslims don't understand. Hey, Janice, good to see you. I mean, you're punishing the man for doing something that he was correct. You told the angels to worship another being besides you, which is shirk. So Allah had the angels commit shirk because they're worshiping a creation of Allah. So Satan said, he said, I am better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from mud. He said, He said, so get out of it. So surely you are stoned. Get out.
Oh, that was some good stuff he was smoking.
so get out of it. Get out of it what? Where?
Stop smoking that crap.
This is another problem for Muslims. If the devil or Iblis or Shaitan was kicked out of Jannah or of Eden or whatever, the gardens, right? And Adam hadn't been tempted to eat the apple with his wife. How did Satan get back into Jannah to tempt them if he was already kicked out? This tells me that Allah had poor security. He needs to call a private security firm because they lacked, because Satan was kicked out of heaven or Jannah, but he was able to get back in there and tempt Eve, who then tempted Adam. Of course,
no, getting kicked out doesn't mean he doesn't have permission to come back.
Well, that would be a problem if Allah gave him permission to come back.
Because Allah lets him back in. Yeah, Allah throws him out and says, I was only coming. Come back in. Go ahead. That's my creation, which I ordered you to worship, which I said nobody's worship. No, seriously, this is a big problem because what it's showing is that Satan, the Shaitan, is really the true follower. He's really the true believer.
Yeah.
He's following Allah's original decree, not to worship anyone but Allah. And then all of a sudden, Allah says, no, I changed my mind. You can worship this man. And so the angels worship us? I mean, think about that. I mean, that's just insanity. But, this is the level of their intellect.
My big question I never get with this whole story is, you have just told us a story to verify creation, but at the same time, you've told us Satan is better than your God.
I mean, he was able to
Satan
defy
keeps his
Allah
word.
twice.
Satan keeps his word, and Allah decides to tell everybody to break his word.
Yeah.
I mean, so say your God is really not Allah. Your God is Satan, who doesn't believe in shirk.
And I want to smoke whatever he's smoking. Okay, 78. And surely my curse is on you until the judgment day. He said, now this would be the devil, my Lord, so delay me until a day they will be raised.
Delay doing what?
I don't know. So is he going to tempt them after they're raised? I thought he was doing the tempting while they were still alive. Okay. Now, he asked Allah to do something, and Allah granted him his wish, like a genie. He said, so surely you are of the delayed until the day of the knowing time. Okay. Don't know what that means. He said, so I swear by your honor, surely I will seduce all of them except your faithful servants among them. Okay.
Still no clue. It's very, very bland. It's not.
He said,
back to command language.
He said, so the truth and the truths I say, surely I will fill hell from you and those who followed you from among them together. Again, he is talking in the past with Satan, saying that I'm going to fill hell with you.
Well, it's not in the past. Surely I will as future.
Well, no, because it says, and from those who followed you. Nobody's followed Satan yet. He hasn't done.
I will fill hell from you and from those who followed you among them. Yeah. So it's future tense, all of this. So the truth and truths I say, that present tense, and now we're into future tense. Surely I will fill hell from you and those who follow. Yeah. So future tense.
How
At
is
some
those?
point, that's going to happen, according to this.
Yeah, but it says, and from those who followed. How is that a future tense?
Well, because it all refers to surely I will fill hell from you, which I guess would refer to Satan, and from those who followed you. I mean, so he's going to at some point in the future, anyone who's followed Satan will put, and if Allah decide, whenever Allah decides to cause this to happen, he's going to fill hell with Satan and his minions, basically.
Okay.
But at some point in the future, we don't know when.
But the next ones are actually really funny. What does this have to do with Satan? So Allah's telling somebody to say, I do not ask you any wage for it, and I am not of those who are pretenders. What does that have to do with what we just read?
It doesn't follow, that's for sure. It's like they added a few things here and there because they didn't know what they had to have a couple other verses.
That is but a reminder to the worlds.
They seem to like this reminder and remember.
Yeah. And surely you will know the news of it after a while.
We don't know what they're even talking about. How can we know
Why
about
does
the news?
Allah say after a while? Why can't Allah be specific?
Because Allah's a con man.
Yeah, but the Muslims get on the case of Christians and like, why? How come Jesus didn't know this, and how come Jesus didn't know that? How come Allah doesn't know crap?
Allah can't even give a description of who. He doesn't know anything about Moses. He does. I mean, he doesn't know the story of Lot. He doesn't know the story of Job. I mean, I can go back up here. If they call this the story of Job, we got a problem. What was it? We started out verse 41. And remember our servant Job when he called his Lord, surely Satan has touched me with this. That's the entire story of Job, really? We got one sentence. I mean, there's just nothing. Allah is so limited in his knowledge, he can't even communicate what he does if he does know anything.
We just finished the chapter, and you're going to be shocked. There's not a single foreign word in the next chapter.
Oh my gosh, it's a miracle.
I know, the chapter of the troops. Okay, let's see what the troops have to say. Okay, verse 1. A descending of the book from Allah, the dear, the wise.
At least he's not hitting people with the book this time.
Okay, sounds like he's talking about a book. Surely we sent the book down to you with the truth. What book?
I don't know.
So serve Allah, devoted in the religion to him. Okay, what religion? Allah hasn't mentioned any religion. Okay, wait a minute. He did mention the religion in chapter 5, where he says, today I've perfected your religion, something Islam. But the problem is chapter 5 is kind of like right at the end where it should be. Maybe this is why they're confused, because they keep talking about a religion, but we don't know what the religion is.
They would tell you it's Islam.
Yeah, well, but Allah doesn't tell me. Allah doesn't tell me. Mm-hmm. Surely we sent down the book to you with the truth, so serve Allah. So serve Allah, devoted in the religion to him. Okay. It is not to Allah the pure religion. Is not to Allah the pure religion, which we don't know what this religion is, and those who took friends without him. Okay. We do not serve them, but only to make us closer to Allah's position. What is Allah's position?
What are they serving? I mean,
I don't know.
And who's doing the serving? Is it Allah doing the serving? Is it, as not to Allah the pure religion and those who took friends without him. We do not serve them, but only to make us closer. This would be somebody speaking, but we don't know who is even speaking.
No, we don't. They will say it's Muhammad, but it doesn't say cool.
There's no proof of that.
Yeah. Surely Allah will judge between them and what they differ. Surely Allah will not guide who is an infidel liar.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Because Allah already told us he doesn't want, people he chooses who he guides not, and by choosing who he guides, that makes Allah the creator of infidels.
All right, now this one is kind of problematic for the Muslims, no matter how they slice it. Had Allah desired to take a son,
Sorry.
so that means Allah could take a son. He just didn't desire to have one. He could surely have chosen whomever he wills from whom he had created. Ooh, so Allah could have sex with something that he created. Ah, praise be to him. He is Allah, the one, the dominator. Sounds like the Terminator. All right, did Paul freeze or?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just wasn't sure.
I got something I had to respond to. All right.
Because you were still. I was like, did he freeze?
No, I got a call and I tried to just text somebody back. All right,
Okay.
sorry about that. Okay.
All right, number 5. He created the heavens and the earth with the truth. Okay. He makes the night roll over the day and makes the day roll over the night. And he has made the sun and the moon subservient. Okay. All run to their assigned times. It is not he the dear, the forgiving.
Wait a minute. All run to their assigned times. Does Allah not know anything about? Okay, he doesn't get the earth is round. He doesn't understand that there are different times and different time zones and things like that. So Allah's messed up. He's very limited in his knowledge.
Adam and his mates are created from one soul. This is kind of
Hey man, I thought they were created from mud.
Well, Adam was created from mud. Eve was created from his rib, his floating rib.
So where do they get the soul here?
I don't know. He created you from one soul. Okay. Then he made its wife from it. So
Adam's an it.
Yeah, and I guess him and his wife shared the same soul. How does that work?
So when they go to heaven, they're only one?
So did Allah split the soul in half?
Could this be why they treat women so bad? The woman you marry is only supposed to be part of you, and you can dish out. It doesn't matter. You're only hurting yourself.
Yeah, and he sent down to you the livestock and 8 pairs.
How do we know this is actually Adam?
That's a good question.
We don't know.
Because it says he created you. So who are they talking to here?
We don't even know if we're talking about Allah here. Because Allah always seems to create things from something.
Look, no clue, because he's clear when he says Adam, and we created Adam, but here we don't know who this is. Now, here's funny.
Well, sorry.
I was going to say, and he sent down to you the livestock and 8 pairs. What do you mean 8 pairs?
8 pairs of what? Male, female? Or male. That sounds like a.
So does that mean that there's only 8 different kinds of livestock?
Well, that's the other thing to think about.
Is that true? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, off the top of my head, I could probably.
So we could say. So it's just to go to your typical farm that's really diverse. You can pick up cows. You can pick up pigs, chicken, livestock. I don't think horses count as livestock.
What about sheep?
Sheep. There we go.
Well, you have sheep. You have goats. Right. You have cows.
Mm-hmm. So sheep, cows, goats,
pigs.
Chickens.
Now, would chickens be considered livestock?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm
actually, technically, I think the answer is yes.
Right.
Because when we're talking farming, they do count. I'm pretty sure they count as livestock. But, Allah might not know that, so I don't know. We tend to think of 4-footed animals. And it depends about what country you're in. You could have llamas.
Yeah.
Emus.
He created you in your mother's belly, in creation after another creation, in the triple darkness. Now, Muslims will tell you that this is a miracle. How did Allah know? Or I'm sorry, how did Muhammad know that there's three darkness? Well, actually, there's not three, there's more, but that's already been debunked. But that's
Really,
okay.
where do they get that from? Triple darkness. I mean, what
I
are we
don't know.
talking about here? Oh, dark upon dark upon dark.
I don't know.
That's really dark. Hey, I got one more question. I got one more question. Up there at the beginning of verse 6, it says he made its wife. So apparently, does that mean that whoever we're talking about is not a human being?
That's a good. That's where I was looking at. If this is Adam, Adam is now an it, and that creates another problem. And it implies that it's. So the word "it" for people who aren't, not into English, it is a. It's not gender neutral. It means there is no male or female that we're talking about. So we're not talking about an animal. We're not talking about a bird. We're not talking about a being. We're talking about a thing. But the thing has a wife. So extremely problematic.
All right, let's see what it says. This is what 39:6.
Yeah.
Let me see what these guys say. 39/6.
I want to have a good laugh about triple darkness.
Okay, he created you from a single soul. Then he made from it its mate. Okay. And he sent down for you the cattle, 8 kinds.
Wait. I think we're here. Okay, he created you, so now he's making it Okay, so now it could be human.
Wait a minute. Allah sends cows from the sky.
Well, that's where Allah makes them, I guess.
Okay, I guess he makes them up there in the factory, then he sends them down.
Then he rains them.
Maybe, yeah, okay.
It's raining cats and dogs. So
Yeah,
now
he rains.
we're raining out livestock.
And he's saying that there are only 8 kind of cattle, which I guarantee you, there's more than 8 kind of cattle.
No, not just cattle. It's livestock. It's broader.
Well, but I'm looking at the word for word, and here, this one, they say cattle.
Okay.
Which would only apply cows. He creates you in the wombs of your mothers, creation from after creation, in the darkness 3. Okay, so it kind of matches what Osama is saying. Okay, this is Allah, your Lord. To him the kingdom. There is no God except him. So how then have you turned away?
I'm still looking for that triple darkness. I didn't hear that. Did you say triple darkness before?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, Muslims have a thing. Muslims will tell you that is a miracle. That is knowledge that nobody knew except Allah.
It's so deep in knowledge. It shows that Allah doesn't know darkness is the absence of light.
All right, 7. If you become infidels, surely Allah is rich above you. Okay. And he does not approve the infidelity for his servants. And if you give thanks, he will approve it to you. That no bearer of a burden that no bearer of a burden bears the burden of another. Ooh, that was a tongue twister right there.
It is. It's badly written. Okay, burden, bearer, bears. That's just bad. Nobody would be able to publish this crap. I'm sorry.
Then to your Lord is your return. So he will inform you of what you were doing. Oh, come on. Why couldn't Allah inform me before I get to there? Surely
isn't Allah the God of perhaps? He doesn't know most of the time.
Surely he knows what is in the chests.
We still don't know what he means by that.
I don't know what's in my chest.
He says it over and over and over again.
That would be my heart. Okay, but and if an evil touches the human, he calls on his Lord, turning to him. Then if he gives him grace, he forgets what he was calling on before, and he makes partners with Allah, that he may cause others to stray from his way. Say, enjoy your infidelity a little. Surely you will be among the companions of the fire.
So you're supposed to enjoy not following Allah.
I guess.
Is that true? Enjoy your infidelity for just a little while.
I'm enjoying not following Allah.
I am. Let's see. Surely you'll be among the companions. So someday we can enjoy all we want, not following Allah, and He'll get us in hell someday. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Okay.
Is the one who observes the hours of the night, worshiping and standing, heedful to the hereafter, and hoping for his Lord's mercy. Say, will they who have knowledge and they who do not have it be equal? Surely the ones with understanding remember. We don't know what they remember.
Well, hang on a minute. Did you just read worshiping and standing?
Yes.
Well, that's not Islamic, is it? I thought you were supposed to worship on your head.
Well, they do stand up and do some rakas or whatever, so I don't know.
You call them raka, but that has to do with getting down. So it's okay. Is the one who observes the hours of the night, worshiping and standing, heedful of the hereafter? So you can't. The concept of worship and I would say that there's a problem. I agree with you. I think what you said is right, Larry. It is conflicting, worshiping and standing. They don't necessarily go together in their belief structure. So it's conflicting. It's a good point.
All right, number 10. Say, O my servants who believed, fear your Lord. For those who do good in this world, there is good, and wide is Allah's earth. Surely only the patient will be repaid their wage without accounting. Okay. Say, surely I am commanded to serve Allah, devoted in the religion to him. What religion again? I have not read, well, okay, I take that back. I did read his religion, but again, chapter 5 comes at the end of the Quran. Muhammad was the first Muslim, or was it Adam, or Noah, or Abraham? Who knows? And I am commanded to be the first of the Muslims. Now,
well, we don't know who the I is here.
Yes. Well, supposedly it's Muhammad. Now, notice it doesn't say, I am commanded to be the first of the Muslims among you, because Muslims will try to use the excuse, oh, come on. Muhammad was the first of the Muslims in his group, of his people. Adam was the first Muslim of his people. Now, was that before Adam had kids? Abraham was the first Muslim of his people. Hell, even the Egyptians were the first Muslims. So that's just bullcrap. And this is why you have to really know how to debate Muslims. Because I want to see, where does it say, I am commanded to be the first of the Muslims among you? Don't see that. Say, surely I fear the torment of the great day if I disobey my Lord. Okay. Say, I serve Allah faithfully, and to him is my religion. Again, we still don't know what the religion of this person. So serve those whom you will without him. Okay. That doesn't make sense.
So who are we serving? Who you're serving Allah without who?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense at all. Absolutely no sense.
If we say the him is Muhammad, then serve Allah without Muhammad. Okay, I can do that. Nah.
And then he goes to say,
Yeah.
Surely the losers are those who lost their souls and their families on the resurrection day. Is not this the clear loss? I don't know.
We don't even know where there's nothing there that says they lost. Okay, the losers. Sure, the losers, those who lost their souls and their families. So So the losers lost their souls. Their families don't, but they're there on resurrection day. Is this not the clear loss that they lost friends and family? I mean, it's again so sadly written.
Is this not the clear loss?
It needs help.
They will have shadows of fire above them and shadows from below them. By this Allah frightens his servants. Oh, my servants, so fear me.
Allah frightens his own people. Look
Okay,
at that.
but okay, so we start off by this is not Allah speaking. By this Allah frightens his servants. Okay. That clearly does not look like it's Allah speaking. And then it goes in and says, "Oh, my servants, so fear me." So who are we supposed to fear? Allah or this guy?
Confusing.
And we lost Rad, but we got Sam Tawheed.
Hey guys.
Hello, Sam.
What's up, Sam?
Hello.
Glad you joined to have some fun. Ready to lose some brain cells. Andrew
Yeah.
Martin, good to see you. Okay,
Yeah, thanks.
So where do we leave off? Say I serve Allah, by this Allah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so my question is, if verse 16, where it says, by this Allah frightens his servants, clearly that is somebody speaking on behalf of Allah. And then all of a sudden it says, oh, my servants, so fear me. Again.
Well, this is an example of somebody who thinks he's Allah. I mean, he doesn't realize he's so used to speaking for Allah.
Yeah, I
he
think
just thinks people.
yeah,
he either thinks his people are stupid.
Yeah, I think he just conflated himself with. Okay, 17. And those who did not worship the idolatry and are turned to Allah, they have the good news. So give
This
the
is
good
again.
news.
This is another example of Allah believing good news has to do with torture.
Yeah.
Because he's laughing at those who don't serve him, and they have good news because he wants to torture them.
So give the good news to my servants.
Wait a minute. Good news is for the people he wants to torture, and now good news is for his servants. I feel sorry for servants.
Okay, those who hear the word, so they follow its best. What?
Doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God. I sure hope it makes sense.
If we're following its best, we're leaving. Because
Well, wait a
there's
minute.
nothing best in here.
If they don't hear, how can they follow it?
Oh, those who hear say the follow its best. Yeah, because isn't that something earlier? He says, yeah, good point.
Okay, those whom Allah has guided, and those are the ones of understanding. So Allah only guides people who understand. No wonder the majority of Muslims are idiots. I mean, I had a conversation with two of them today, and I was like, dude. 19, is he on whom the word of the torment is established? Are you able to save those who are in the fire? Okay. But for those who fear their Lord, they will have rooms. Above them, rooms are built, below which the rivers flow. Woohoo! I think this
rivers
is
underground.
I think this is a condo. Allah builds condos, multiple story condos.
Okay. They'll
The
have rooms
promise
above
of
the rooms
Allah.
are built. Yeah, I mean, this could be one of those like New York City hotels. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the rivers could be plumbing.
The promise
We're
of
too nice,
Allah.
Allah.
The promise of Allah will not change the promise. What? The promise of Allah. Allah will not change the promise.
So, okay, wait, we have a problem here. The number one problem. Allah created this thing called abrogation. So because he created abrogation, he changes his word. So you could say he's changing his promise. So this is Allah doesn't know he's changing his words.
Now,
Allah doesn't know again.
Andrew has a good point. This imagery here is of Petra. Rooms above, rivers below.
Yes, Andrew, that's what we continue to see. There's no description of anything remotely like Mecca in the Quran.
Have you seen that video of Dan Gibson where he shows that the original Mecca is nowhere near Mecca?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was very. I'm going to have to go back and take notes and use that. But then again, the Muslims don't believe in his work. You know,
I think
Th-
they need to actually go read the Quran. They'll
I
leave
know.
Islam. Then they
this
might
one,
not be as interested, though.
this one that you said about Allah will not change the promise. He has changed the promise so many times.
That's the point. Allah doesn't know. I mean, this is like a senile Allah. Oh, wait a minute. I won't change my promise. But you already did. If you created abrogation, and we're talking about it in Surah 2, and by the time we get here, you've already changed your promise. I don't know how many times by the time we get to chapter 30, we're in 38 or 39.
Hey,
39.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop it at 4:30, and I think I have the video of Dan Gibson
Mm-hmm.
that we can play for like the last 30
That
minutes.
sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Paul, why don't you go ahead? We're on 21.
Okay.
I'm going to go see if I can find that.
Okay.
If I
So
can find it.
have you not seen that Allah sends down water from heaven? So what? Rain. Okay. So he guided it along as to form springs in the earth. Okay. So you get a heavy rain, you get spring, now you get a path of water. Okay. That brings forth plants of different colors by it. Okay. So these are observations that man can make. This is nothing hard for a person to observe. Then he causes it to wither. Wait a minute. Really? You think that happened overnight? They brought forth the water came down, the plants grew up, and now they're withering. So you see it become yellow, then he makes it brittle. So I mean, this is the closest I can think of is there was a flash flood. And I don't know if Petra has flash floods. That's the closest thing I can think of. But just bad and just very.
I mean, it continues with surely in this is a reminder to those who have understanding. That's, I
Well,
mean,
Allah's never clear, so we're still waiting for the clear passage. I mean, we found a few things in here that somewhat make sense, but it's only after we actually sit here and discuss them, because otherwise there's it's just very little There's no common sense in here, but there's very little sensical. My biggest problem with this book is so much is con man language, and there's really it's just badly written. And I'm an author, so I'm saying that as from the perspective of as an author. I would never send this garbage anyplace. If I had written this, I'd be embarrassed. Is he who Allah has opened his chest to Islam? Here's the big problem I keep saying. When they refer to chest, are we talking about a human being? Are we talking about a place to store gold? What are we talking about? Because there's no evidence of what that means. And this is where, again, I get into common language. You can take it any way you want. Is he who Allah has opened his chest to Islam? We're talking about, okay, so you're talking about opening your heart, maybe. So he is on a light from his Lord.
What the heck does that mean? Is he surfing?
So he is
Surfing on
on
light?
so if Allah, so there's this story about Muhammad having surgery on himself and his chest is open. So he is on so woe to those whose hearts are hardened from the remembrance. There's no sense. This doesn't make any sense. I'm just going to highlight this in a different color because this is just so poorly written. I mean, woe to those whose hearts are hardened from the remembrance of Allah. They are in obvious error. Really, if we're in error, what do you consider what you just wrote? You lied to people saying you keep your promises, but why did you create abrogation if you keep your promises? Maybe it's because you can't remember what you said before. That's the only reason I can think. Muhammad admits that the Quran is repetitive. Duh. Sorry. Allah sent down the best of the same.
can you hold on for one
Yes.
minute? Just in 22. I mean, so it says those are in obvious error, right? So
Yeah.
woe those whose hearts are hardened from remembrance of Allah. So I'm supposed to understand that I could have not come to the conclusion myself that, you know, rain comes down from the sky,
That's what I'm
and
getting at.
if if I do not understand it's from Allah, I'm in obvious error. All right.
Well, this is okay. So if you are taking a basic class in, let's just say, earth science, we actually have this discussion. Rain comes down from the sky. You will see sometime we had a water table that actually they showed us how old rivers become new rivers and new rivers become old rivers using this water table. And that was basic high school earth science class was in that. And when you could look at how the earth changes, and we would see, okay, this doesn't take much intelligence. My only question with that is, again, if when there's no water, the land becomes, well, the plants wither. Okay, they die and they become brittle. Okay, these are things no human, I mean, who lives on the earth, I mean, unless you're in a hotel or a hospital constantly, never never coming out of the room. There's no reason you wouldn't know these things. But maybe these are the most academic things Allah knows, I guess, because he doesn't understand about planets, he doesn't understand about stars, he doesn't understand about sun and moon. Uh, this Allah thinks is genius. This is where I get scared, thinking Allah is so. This is why I think Allah is very, very small. Thank you for your comments. All right. Muhammad admits that the Quran is repetitive. Let's get into this. Allah sent down the best of the sayings. I'm still waiting for that. A book whose verses are look-alike repetitions. Okay, hurrah. He finally said something factual about this book.
Amen.
Look, he finally said something factual about the book. Look-alike repetitions. Didn't we call a chapter copy and paste?
Mm-hmm.
Was that 26?
Yeah, copy paste or the rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. There we
Yeah.
go. Hey, you know what? Look-alike repetitions. He agrees with your title.
I
Rinse and
know.
repeat. It chills the skin of those who fear their Lord. Then their skins and
Well,
their. I'm sorry.
I just want to say it's chilling my skin reading it, but it's not because I fear it's not because I fear Allah.
It chills the skin of those who fear their Lord. I mean, this is quite a statement when you think about it. If something is chilling your skin because you fear it, don't worship it. I'm sorry. It tells you that this thing called Allah is most likely Satan. This part right here chills the skin of those who fear their Lord. Then their skins and their hearts will be softened as their remembrance of Allah. Really?
Read the message from Andrew. I think he hit it right on
Chills
the
the
nail.
skin refers to frisson and shows the Quran was sung. No. Chills the skin. This is a word for word translation. And you know what? If you're going to call it frisson, uh, I think that is. I honestly believe that this is more accurate. If you chill the skin, your skin is turning cold because you fear something. I don't know if you've ever been in fear like that, but it's possible that your temperature can change because you are so scared. And this just says something to me about who Allah is. That's a claim that chills the skin could refer to frisson, but I think this might actually be more accurate. Allah is Satan, so it chills people's skin. That actually makes more sense. Well, yeah, this is Allah's guidance. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm the only one right here. I just, whether they want to call it frisson or not, I think it's funny. I don't know Andrew, I'm not saying I don't get it. I'm just saying chills the skin makes more sense if we look at it as, because it's referring to fear. That's where I think the concept of frisson doesn't work. Okay. Their skins and their hearts will be soft. This is Allah's guidance. Again, they're referring to that fear. He will guide with it those whom he wills. Again, it's all Allah's fault. And whom Allah leads astray. Okay, Allah leads astray people. Who else does that? Satan. All right. It's
I
funny.
mean, that is quite weird, right? Like, if why would he create somebody who he wants to lead astray?
Well, this is where you learn that Allah is Satan. He keeps doing this. I mean, over and over and over again, you see it. So he will not have a guide. I mean, and whom Allah leads astray will not have a guide. Well, it's Allah's choice. I mean, he throws a coin up in the air, let's say, and he decides, okay, I'll guide you today. Maybe a few days later, he's throwing a coin up in the air again. I won't guide you. It's up to, because even in the chapters in the past, we read where Allah kills even his own people that follow him. And that's, you sit there like, wait a minute. I mean, Kufar was having a good time looking at that. Like, wait a minute. He's killing. We went over that. This is 2 sessions ago, I think, where Allah was continually killing his own followers with the people he wanted to kill. And they called that mercy. That was problematic. It is he who fears with his face. Is he who fears with his face. So this, again, going down here. This is where frisson doesn't work. We're still on fear. Is he who fears with his face the evil of the torment on the resurrection day. Again, this would actually agree with the concept I'm talking about, which chills the skin. All right. Is he who fears with his face the evil torment on the resurrection day. And it will be said to the unjust, taste what you were earning. I don't know what it is with Allah and money. I know Muhammad liked the idea of money so much that he raided and had other people killed. So he just stole from them. That's what he was. I mean, he was a raider, a thief. Before his wife Khadijah died, he was supposed to be he was supposed to be in trading. But here, he seems like he's been so deprived of money at some point that he decides everything has to, his sock puppet has to continually talk about earning. Taste what you were earning. It's all throughout the Quran. Money, money, money. Earning. Those before them denied, so the torment came on them from where they did not feel. Those before them denied. Allah likes to torment people. Doesn't make any sense here. Those before them denied, so the torment came on them. And Allah is the one who torments, and this is that earning that they're talking about. You don't agree with him, you get tormented. Funny thing here is the God of the Bible offers offers life free to you. It's a free gift. All you have to do is decide to take the free gift. In this one, everybody goes to hell, even the follower of Islam. And Allah enjoys torturing everybody. That doesn't work with the God of the Bible. He doesn't enjoy doing any of that. No, it doesn't happen. The God of the Bible does not torture. 26. So Allah made them to taste humiliation in the world's life. We have a problem here with reality, because in this world that we are in today, we are seeing an awful lot of people who should be tasting humiliation. I'll just mention Fauci for one, because we know that he's responsible for many things that are evil. And that's not what's happening. He's not facing the humiliation. I mean, we talk about some people having rewards in this life and getting their promise in the hereafter, but yeah, he's promising humiliation in this world and torment in the hereafter. It's kind of different. It's a lot different. So whatever you get in this life, you get better. You get better. You get humiliation in this life, you get torment in the next one. If you get treated nice in this one, you get treated nice in the next one. It almost sounds like the rich people have it right. The way I read that, anybody else see something different?
I'm just confused to the last part here. If they were knowing. So wait, what? It's odd. If
Well,
they were knowing.
you've got to read that part before. Torment of the hereafter is bigger. Well, this is one he keeps saying. If they were knowing, he keeps saying this over and over again. It's one of his repetitions. Remember, it just said it up here. The book of sayings, a book of look-alike repetitions. If they were knowing is I can't tell you how many times it's repeated in the Quran, but we've actually been talking about that. It's like they mention this one over and over again. It's like the end of a verse, he has to tag it with something. I'll show you.
What is just if you read this verse alone, right?
Yeah.
So Allah made them to taste humiliation in the world's life, right? So he's talking about the disbelievers.
Yeah.
And the
I'm not
torment
saying
of the
it's
hair
humiliation.
and the torment of the hereafter is bigger if they were knowing. So that doesn't make sense to me.
So, Sam, are you saying that obviously these people here, they've had no guidance, so they don't know? To me, it would be more, make more sense instead of the word knowing, like if they rejected.
if they
Yeah.
knew might work.
Yeah, like if you're saying if only they knew how
Yeah, but
terrible I will
that's why
be.
I keep saying this isn't. This is written by someone who didn't know Arabic as their first language.
It sounds like somebody who's up with tricks, like if only they knew. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
Kind of like that. Yeah.
yeah, and that would make sense because again, this is why I keep saying these little quips. So if Allah made them, that was past tense, to taste humiliation in world's life, and the torment in the hereafter is bigger, if they were knowing. If they had kept it in the same tense, if they knew, it would work. And this is another example of Arabic as a second language here by the author. And this is, we keep running into it. They change the tenses constantly, and that's a sign of not knowing Arabic as a first language. 27. And indeed, we gave every kind of parable. Oh no, every time he uses the word parable, he doesn't know what it means. And indeed, we gave every kind of parable in this Quran to the people. Perhaps they will remember. What's the parable that he's talking about? And this perhaps they will remember. We keep seeing that over and over again. What are we supposed to remember? You haven't told us. Every time you read the word parable, there's a half story there. It's never completed. You never tell us what the morals are. It's because Allah doesn't know what the word parable means. In my understanding, I'm pretty sure parable is a word that is not Arabic. Double check that. An Arabic Quran that is without any crookedness, perhaps they may fear. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Nope.
Yes, and based on when you talk to Muslim, they believe this, right? But the thing is, once you read it, I guess we all
So,
know this, right? That
so
it
if we
doesn't make sense as a whole. Like, of course, like without crookedness, well, it's full of crookedness up to this point.
Well, we can't find an Arabic Quran without any crookedness. This is. I think if you actually if you read the Quran and Arabic was your native tongue, you'd probably leave. Islam, unless you feared the only reason you didn't leave was because you feared being killed. This could be, this is why even Qaradawi said Islam wouldn't exist without the penalty for apostasy. I mean, that's right there. I mean, if you read the Quran and you read Arabic, you see all this, you would leave. Because again, this is a demonstration. If you read it in Arabic, you would see the crookedness. I think that's pretty much it. 29. Allah gives the parable of a man who is owned by partners. No, we got that word parable, so we're gonna get half story. Allah gives the parable of a man who is owned by partners, who are disputing amongst themselves of a man devoted wholly to one man. Will they be equal parables? Wait a minute. What's the parable if we're talking about equal parables?
Well, wait a minute. A man devoted wholly to one man. That's a gay. We're talking about a gay guy in Allah's book.
Okay. Allah's giving the parable of a man who is owned by partners.
Okay.
Who are disputing. So these two guys are arguing amongst themselves of a man devoted. Oh, wow. Well, I won't say that necessarily means it, but it does. It could. Will they be equal parables? Now, the funny thing here is he's calling this a singular parable, and he's calling it two parables at the same time. This is where Allah demonstrates he does not know the definition of the word parable. Allah is limited in knowledge. You can see that in this one verse alone.
Okay, so it's talking about a slave because it's talking about a man who's owned by partners. But wait a minute. Okay. So this man is owned by two people. We don't know if it's
because it says partners, we're going to assume it's two guys.
Right, two guys, and those two guys are disputing amongst themselves and of a man who's devoted wholly to one man. Okay.
Now we don't know. Here's the thing that's here. We don't know that those two guys own this one man. So this could be a third guy. That's just. I mean,
yeah. But that man is devoted to just one man. And
so we don't know how he fits in this story. Every time he uses parable, he never gives us the full story.
Yeah, that to me screams homosexual. I'm not devoted to any one man.
Well, there are servants out there. I'm going to pick on servants. I'm not saying slaves. They will be totally devoted to caring for somebody. You'll see nannies that they love what they do. There are maids who love what they do and devote themselves.
Yeah, but we're talking about maids back in the 7th century. Oh, let's finish with 29, and then I'll start the video. I'll give you the link to learn about.
All right. So will they be equal parables? They praise be to Allah, yet most of them do not know. All right. So I'm going to mark number 30 here.
Yeah.
Before you go down to 30, or before we end, can I just say that I still want to have an answer to that question? Will they be equal parables? Question mark. Because it doesn't answer the question. It just go praise be to Allah, yet most of them do not know.
That's my point.
What? I still don't know.
Yeah, that's the point. Well, I think what this question does more than anything else, it establishes that Allah doesn't know what the word parable means. That's the thing that's important to me. Allah has just shown everybody he doesn't understand the definition of the word.
No,
this is good. I like this video.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to cut off the show right now because I'm pretty sure you've lost enough brain cells. And this is from Dan Gibson, the author of the Quranic Geography. And this is about where is Paran, but he's going to show you where Mecca is or was or where it began. So let's play it. And instead of losing brain cells, let's maybe gain some.
I want to enlarge the pictures.
Hello, I'm Dan Gibson, and welcome to another video in the series Archaeology and Islam. In this video, we will address the question, where was ancient Paran? We are going to look at a variety of different sources of information. We will start with how Paran is mentioned in the biblical and then the Christian accounts, and end with the Islamic accounts. In all of this, we will ask ourselves the question, when the ancient records speak of Paran, what area do they have in mind? Some people may react at this point and respond and say, this is stupid because Paran equals Sinai. And while I agree that the name Sinai often appears alongside of Paran, after examining the sources, I think they are two separate places. Others will tell you that Paran is in Saudi Arabia, and it is the area around Mecca. And others will place it in northern Sinai. If you check maps on the internet, you will see that Paran is shoved around here and there on the maps, in different maps, 7 different places. So in order that we are not fooled or misled by what people are saying about Paran, let's review what the ancients said about this place. So let's start with a map. And we can place Egypt and Edom on this map. These we can nail down even though the borders may move around from time to time. The southern border of Edom has always been fixed. It is a large, expansive escarpment that drops several thousand feet from the high desert down to the low desert below. And it runs from east to west, making it a very distinct border. Ancient forts and defensive structures dot along the top of this escarpment. Now, up above on the escarpment, there are fields, there's moisture, there's villages. Below the escarpment, there's desert, rocks, sand dunes. Now, for several years, I lived with my wife and my children near the top of the escarpment, and my children played along the edge of the escarpment with the hot desert just below them. It was always 5 or 6 degrees cooler at the top of the escarpment. Now, the ancient kingdom of Edom was at the top of the escarpment, and the land of Edom extended back north, back into the mountains, and chief among these mountains was Mount Seir, where the city of Petra was eventually located. Along the western side of the mountains, we have Wadi Araba, which is very distinct and very similar to the lower deserts. Now, the mountains of Sinai and the Negev are way off to the west. Now, the problem we have with these places is that there are no ancient signposts or inscriptions in stone that tell us this is Sinai or now entering Paran. So we need to understand where these locations were from the ancient accounts. For thousands of years, we have understood that the peninsula between Egypt and the Middle East is known as the Sinai Peninsula. Now in the 21st centuries, a few people are promoting the idea that the Exodus was from Egypt into Saudi Arabia, and some have suggested that perhaps the desert in Saudi Arabia was the original Sinai. But as you will see, it really doesn't matter if you put Sinai on the right or on the left, because Paran is associated with Mount Seir and with the deserts south of Edom below the escarpment. So let's start with Paran in the earliest biblical records and then move forward. The biblical book of Numbers, chapter 10, verse 12 to 16, tell us that the children of Israel took their journey out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. A few verses later, verse 16, the people removed from Hazeroth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran. So, without addressing here where these are, we need to notice that Sinai and Paran are two distinct, different places. The children of Israel move out from Sinai and into Paran. So please remember, as we go through this, Sinai is not Paran. But Sinai and Paran are close. They are related in some way. They could be described as two wildernesses that are side by side. So something separated them to make them distinct wildernesses. This may help clear up a lot of misunderstanding, because I keep meeting people who believe that Sinai and Paran are names for the same place. Now, let's turn to the two verses in Deuteronomy chapter 33. That's verses 1 and 2. This is the blessing that Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai, and he rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of his saints. From his right hand went out the fiery law for them. Now, we have three terms here. One is Sinai, one is Seir, and one is Mount Paran. So on our map, let's take note of Sinai. And as far as we know, ancient Seir has always referred to the Edomite mountains, especially to the mountains where the city of Petra was later established. So on our map, let's fix Seir over Petra. And I'm going to place Paran here on the map so it is beside Sinai and south of Seir. So they can come out of Sinai into Paran, and Seir is located on the north. Now, it really doesn't matter where I put Paran. I can shove it around if I need be. From the verses that we read, we learn a bit more about Paran because Moses refers to Mount Paran. And Moses should know because he traveled twice through this area extensively, once herding sheep for his father-in-law and once leading the children of Israel. So now we know that Paran is not just a wilderness, it is also has mountains in it, and one that is notable as Mount Paran. Now another interesting verse from Genesis 14, that's verse 5 and 6, and this is way back during the time of Abraham. Paran is mentioned during a rebellion against Chedorlaomer. I spoke about him back in video 16 of this same series. He is now understood to be Kudur-Kukumal, the king of Elam. Here in Genesis it says, in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer, the king, and the kings that were with him, and they smote, and then it lists a bunch of the kings and peoples, and it ends up with, and the Horites in their Mount Seir unto Paran, which is by the wilderness. That would be this area between Mount Seir and the wilderness. It could be south and it could be east. So now we have Sinai on the west, Seir is up here, and Paran is in the lower center and east of Edom. We can always move Paran, as we said, as we need to, if we need to shovel it around a few places. Now, these are the very ancient names that go far back into history. Paran comes from a very old root that could mean beautiful, and indeed the deserts of Paran contain amazing beauty. Even to this day, tourists come from all over the world to visit the wonders in Wadi Rum, which according to this definition would be in the wilderness of Paran. Genesis 21, 19 to 22 tells us that when Ishmael grew up, he lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother Hagar got him a wife from the land of Egypt. 1 Kings 11, 17 and 18 tells us that when Hadad the Edomite fled from Edom to Egypt, he passed through Paran on his way to Egypt. Now, some early Christian writers mention Paran. Both Eusebius in his Onomesticon, which is an early biblical dictionary. Also, Jerome reports that Paran was a desert in Arabia, and he calls the city of Eilat, that's on the Red Sea, Eilat. He calls it Eilat Paran. So here in the south, we can anchor Paran to this area south of the escarpment. The Book of Jubilee, written possibly around 140 BC, or maybe much earlier, tells us that Ishmael and his sons, and the sons of Keturah, who was one of the wives of Abraham, they went together and dwelt in Paran to the entering of Babylon in all the lands which are towards the east, facing the desert. And these mingled with each other, and their name was called Arabs and Ishmaelite. Therefore, the reference or the inference here is that Paran also covers the desert east of Mount Seir, all the way over to the Babylonian border. Since Mount Seir is the Petra Mountains, This is telling us that Ishmael moved into the desert east of Petra, and he occupied the whole area as far as the borders of Babylon. And this is what we find in Babylonian and Chaldean records. They ran into the Nabateans, the tribe that was descended from Nabaioth, the eldest son of Ishmael. They ran into them in the desert, and also they ran into the Kedarites, a tribe that descended from Ishmael's second son, Kedar. So this places Paran in the area between Mount Seir and Mesopotamia. So we can see that Paran is actually now a very large place, but it means the wilderness south of Edom and to the east of Edom. So in review, we can see that Paran is in the wilderness to the east of Sinai, and that it warps its way around up through the borders of Edom, and it extends out to the eastern desert. And we have specific mention of it south of Edom, that includes Elat Faran, and it extends out to the area of Wadi Rum, and then into the deserts east of Edom. Now, Cebios, the Armenian bishop and historian, describing the Arab conquest during his time, wrote that the Arabs, quote, assembled and came out from Paran. Today, many Muslims point to Cebios as proof that Muhammad is mentioned in a non-Islamic history and that Muhammad really existed, but they fail to note that Cebios places Muhammad in the founding of Islam in the area of Paran, not in Saudi Arabia. The only major city near Paran was Mount Seir, known to the Christian West as Petra. That name was given to the city by the Emperor Hadrian, who visited it in 130 AD. And from then on, it was known as the name of Petra, or Petra's Hadrian, but many people just called it Petra. However, for the centuries before this, even long after the city was known as Petra, it still had other names, and some of the ancient names like the name Rechem. And now Cebios tells us that the Muslim army started from there. There is another Armenian writer, Thomas Artzruni, who wrote before his death in 887 CE. I have spoken of him before this in this series and talked about him. Artzruni tells us, at that time, in the place of Arabia, Petria, Paran, named Mecca, the Mecca, he showed himself to bandits, warriors, and band chiefs worshiping in a temple. Artzruni is very specific when he mentions a place. Arabia, Petria, Paran. Now, Arabia Petria was a Roman state. Paran specifies where in the Roman state it was. Then Artzruni says something truly amazing. The place is called Mecca, the Mecca, he writes, being very specific. Here the writer clearly calls the place the Mecca and places it in Paran in southern Jordan. Listen carefully. Thomas Artzruni gives the location of Mecca as Petria, Arabia, Paran. These are Christian names. They are places well known in the Christian Middle East. Bishops have come from this place to participate in major church consultations. Great theological debates that sometimes split the church were influenced by Christian leaders from Petra. So he's not speaking of something nebulous, just out there. And he tells us that the Arabic name for this area is Mecca, the Mecca. Now, why does he emphasize this? Because by the time of this writing, Petra, also known as Mecca, is now abandoned. And the name Mecca has been transferred to a location in Saudi Arabia. And in his time, the only use for the word Mecca was referencing to Saudi Arabia. But Thomas Artzruni is early enough to remember that the city of Petra had also one of its names for that area was Mecca, the Mecca, he says, and he places there Muhammad revealing himself to bandits and warriors and tribal chiefs and worshiping in a temple, which we know today as the Kaaba. So please understand the importance of this. As we have said before, the city of Petra had multiple names. It was known as Seir, also known as Rechem, after an early king who lived there. It's also known as Petra, a Roman name. But to the polytheist Arabs, the area there was known as Mecca. And Thomas Arts-Rooney says the Mecca, just so you know for sure that it is the Mecca. And he places it very distinctly in Paran, in Arabia Petrea. That's why identifying the land of Paran is so important. But today, many Muslims believe that Paran is an area around Mecca in Saudi Arabia. And they've been told that Mecca is in Paran, which is true. We can see this from what we've learned so far, but for those who do not know where Paran was traditionally, they have concluded that Paran must be in Saudi Arabia, around the area of the Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Regardless of where Paran had been all down through history, they don't care. Now, before we go any further, let's listen to what some of the earliest Arabs say. The Arab geographer Al-Muqaddasa mentions that the Red Sea branches into two at the northern extremity of Al-Hijaz at the name of a place called Faran. So he places Faran or Paran in the northern location. He says that from here, the Red Sea divides into two. The northern area is going up is Paran, and Hijaz is to the south, the area going south. Now, this is the traditional understanding of Paran, and it gives us a southern border. Now, this is an early Muslim geographer, not some Roman Christian. Paran is not in Saudi, around Mecca and Saudi Arabia. He's placing it in the northern area, and Mecca is therefore in the north. Yaqut, the most famous Muslim geographer, who's writing around 600 years after the start of Islam, tells us that Faran is an Arabized Hebrew word, and it is one of the names of Mecca mentioned in the Torah. Now, that's interesting. The name of Petra, you see, is not found in the Bible. It's there, but it's Seer. The name of Petra is not found in the Islamic records, and the name Petra is only found in the Roman records. It was specific to the visit of Hadrian in that region. The name then stuck, and it was used by the Romans, but other names were applied for this city. From the early Islamic records, we learn that Paran is, broadly speaking, north of the Hijaz, stretching along the east side of the Red Sea up through Jordan over to Sinai. This is where Ishmael and some of the other descendants of Abraham settled. This is Paran. Now, when the old Arabic translation of the Samaritan Pentateuch was translated into English, that's back in 1851, in that old manuscript, there was a footnote found, and it said the name Paran or Faran refers to the wilderness and the mountains near Mecca. Now, at this point, all anyone knew was that Mecca was in Saudi Arabia, so nobody had ever heard that Mecca might have been in another place. This is 1851 when it's being translated, so they assume that it was talking about Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Now, but remember, the Samaritan Pentateuch goes back several hundred years BC, but we do not know when that footnote was added. It may have been early, and it may have been later. So unfortunately, we cannot date it. But what we do know is that these scribes only knew Paran as the desert south and east of Edom. It wasn't until several hundred years into Islamic history that the name Paran started being applied to the area of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. So at the time of the writing of this footnote, it is most likely that Mecca in Saudi Arabia did not even exist yet. Now, as I've often said, there's no record of archaeological background in Mecca. Certainly, it doesn't go back centuries before Christ. There's no Temple of Alat. There are no deities there. There's all the archaeological things that should be there are not there. And on top of this, there's not a single surviving mosque from the first century of Islam that faces Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Instead, all of these mosques face the region of Paran in southern Jordan. Another early Islamic writer, Al-Hamdani, writes in his book, Geography of the Arabic Peninsula, that the Paran Mountains were around Mecca, and they were named after Paran, the son of Amalek. Az-Zuraki also mentions the Amalekites as associated with Mecca. Now, the history of the Amalekites is relatively well known, and we know the Amalekites lived north of Edom, never in Saudi Arabia. Eventually, the Amalekites were wiped out, but listen, Mount Seir is given as the location where the remnant of the Amalekites escaped to. We find that in 1 Chronicles 4, verses 42 and 43. And some of them, even the sons of Simeon, 500 men, went to Mount Seir, having for their captains Pelatiah and Neriah and Nephiah and Uzziel, the son of Ishi. And they smote the rest of the Amalekites that had escaped and dwelt there unto this day. So once the Amalekites were defeated in the north, some escaped south as far as Mount Seir. They're living there, and so 500 men of the sons of Simeon come and attack them, wipe them out. So it is true that the remnant of the Amalekites lived in Mount Seir, the name for Petra, before it was ever called Petra. And the Islamic records tell us that at one time there were Amalekites living in Mecca. Again, the ancient name Mecca is more appropriate for Petra than it is way down in Saudi Arabia. Another interesting detail, Al-Samani, in his book Surnames, tells us that the surname Firani is derived from Faran or Paran, the mountains near Mecca. So again, Paran and Mecca are associated together. In another instance, Wahib ibn Munabbah, who died around 730 CE, writes a book called Kitab al-Nizan, which is a compilation of pre-Islamic folklore. And he mentions that Tel Faran, or the mountain of Faran, is on the outskirts of Mecca. Now, this may give us a clue as to how the name Mecca applied to Petra. It may have applied only to a specific mountain or a group of mountains in the Petra region. Now, in another instance, Ibn al-Munabbah suggests that the name for Tel Faran was the Mound of the Two Runaways, which was a place where the Jehoram tribe found Hagar and Ishmael and referred to them as two runaways. We have already placed this story near Petra or in Petra in another video. But in this case, when the original use of the name Mecca is given, it might have referred to a mount or a hill or a mountain, so to the Tel, and it could have been any part of a suburb of Petra. Now, before we close, we need to deal briefly with the association between Paran and Sinai. The earliest I can establish this is the geographer Ptolemy, who identified Paran as being in the Sinai. And so Claudius Ptolemy identified Wadi al-Sheikh as Wadi Faran, and forever after this, it was written on European maps. He also identified Al-Heswa oasis. He called it Faran oasis. And so around 550 AD, Christian monks established a monastery there and called it St. Catherine's Monastery. But they never hinted that they believed they were living in Paran. As far as I know, this is how the association, though, began between Paran and Sinai, was with Ptolemy and him drawing and making his maps. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, the early records clearly talk about the children of Israel leaving Sinai and entering Paran. They were not the same place. Also, we've noticed that Paran and Mount Seir are often associated together. So now, in closing, let's examine these two hypotheses. First, as the Muslims would have us believe, Paran is and always has been the area around Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Or, second, Paran became associated with Mecca in Saudi Arabia after the name Mecca started being applied to the Saudi location. This happened after the area known as Mecca in Jordan was destroyed by earthquakes, war, and people abandoning it. Today, an argument of Paran has been used against my assumptions that nowhere in Islamic history is there any support for the city of Petra. I have countered and said Petra was a Roman name applied to the city by the Emperor Hadrian, and that name caught on in the Roman Empire, but the original names for the city and the area still existed in Arabia. If Paran is in the area east of Sinai and south of Mount Seir and north of the Hejaz, as we have learned, then the descriptions fit both the biblical and the early Christian and the early Muslim accounts. Nobody's making any mistakes. But if Paran is to be only identified as a nebulous area in central Saudi Arabia around Mecca, then all the other references don't make any sense. They all have to be mistakes. So how did the Muslim scholars of the last 1,000 years miss this whole thing that there could be two Meccas? First of all, they weren't looking for another Mecca. And second, they had a good explanation. Paran is the area around Mecca and Saudi Arabia, and they accepted that. And third, they believed that their Islamic historians were all correct and everyone else was wrong. My approach was different. Once I realized that all of the Qiblas of the first century of Islam faced the area around Petra, I began examining other data and historical accounts to see if they supported or contradicted the data. In conclusion, people who don't want to be convinced will just reject this video, and they will reject Paran, and they will reject Petra. But for those who want to piece together the evidence, they will find that by placing the original Mecca in or near Petra, all of the pieces fit together. I'm Dan Gibson, and this has been another video in the series Archaeology and Islam.
Okay. Now, I sure hope I don't get dinged for this, but I thought it was a good video. I actually, can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. I think everybody took vacation.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I never saw to the completion, so this was the first time. I think I got to about the half. So, I mean, he lays out a very good argument and gives you the sources. So, you know, I do know that that is one of the arguments that Muslims make, and they try to make Quran, and they try to say that it's talking about Mecca. So when the Bible talks about Mount Paran or the wilderness of Paran, they automatically say, "Oh, that's Mecca," which, you know,
Well, he did the one thing that no Islamic sources will do, which is provide a source.
right.
Yeah.
So, I
This was
mean,
good.
it's possible that, like he said, by the time Mecca came around, or Islam, you know, the original Mecca had already been, you know, ancient history. You know, nobody used it. It had been conquered. You know, it really wasn't there anymore. So who knows? But I thought it was very good. So hopefully when this gets uploaded, stupid Facebook won't ding me for it. We'll see. But anyway, it was good. Muslim scholars miss everything. That's why they are Abduls. Absolutely. You know, they discard everybody else like nobody's credible except the Muslim scholars. But yet nobody
Oh,
provides.
oh no, Dr. Kufar. You know they throw their own scholars under the bus daily.
Yeah, yeah, of course. When it goes against what they're trying to push. I mean, hell, they throw Allah under the bus. So why not their scholars? But you know, whether you believe, you know, Dan Gibson in the Quranic geography, where he points out that the Qiblas, for at least 100 years, they weren't pointing to Mecca, which would make sense because nothing that we have about Islam comes from that time period. They all come from late 8th century, or 749, 750 AD, after the Abbasids conquered the Umayyads. So, I mean, if you got a couple brain cells working, you know, at least look into what he's saying. And like Paul said, we provide evidence. Unlike Muslims who just say, "Oh, it's a fact." No, it's not a fact because you say it's a fact. I need to see some evidence, and that's when they start, you know, attacking you personally, or you know, they run away. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out for 2 hours. At least you only got to lose some brain cells for 90 minutes instead of 120. And you got some education that had nothing to, well, I mean, indirectly, yes, it has to do with Islam. So, Sam, thank you for coming. Larry, as always. Paul, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday, except for Marion, who happens to be on Monday now. I got one brain cell left. Okay, I'm what happened to Paul? Okay, Paul's got something. Okay, add to stream. Okay. What you got there, Paul?
I just turned it off. I was just turning it off.
Oh, okay. I just saw
Did I push present? I didn't even realize that. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought you were going to try to show something. We got some back at the end. Yeah, there you go. See, I gave you a good 26 minutes to regenerate your brain cells. You actually got some knowledge that's worth something besides the crap that's in the Quran. So, guys, enjoy your Sunday. Marion, enjoy your Monday. I think tomorrow night we'll probably do a show. So look for it. And I'll let you guys know. Enjoy the rest of your time. Thank you, and God bless you. And let me end the broadcast.